Morning low. Morning Saigon. Morning sauce. Morning Heartbreaker. What up, Stormy? I didn't see you sneak in, man. How you doing? Wasn't trying to ignore you, Storm. Just didn't see it. Be on Twitch, but you're updating games. Anything good? What up, Buckeye? How's your shower, Rusty? Man, did my chat program just not fucking link everything? It's showering. I'm gonna have to reset my chat program. It's just not, it's not picking up. Not picking up Twitch, interestingly enough. You can close it and reopen it. We'll close it, we'll reopen it, we'll see what happens. BDO. You talked about trying BDO, didn't you? Just giving yourself something different to try. Jesus, who banged me? I don't have the right fucking screen up. Sauce, thank you for banging me, mate. Jesus. That woke me up. Oh, it definitely woke me up. I was looking at a different screen trying to get my chat program to work. That definitely got me. Oh shoot. How's everybody doing this morning? Still nice and early, yeah. Still nice and early. Question mark. Eat our breakfast banana. Ow. Combat's awesome. I actually saw BDO's combat when I thought it looked really, really good. What up, DeSal? I actually saw BDO's combat after checking out Chrono Odyssey and thought it looked good and thought it looked like it was worth checking out. But the problem is I've heard the game's just very pay to win. And for me, that's just not something I was interested in at the time. But you guys will have to tell me what you think of the game after you spend some time in it. Right? Gotta eat something. A little hungry. A little hungry. Eat a little bit. All right. Well, guess we should get started for the day, right? Presets. Inez. Man, I saw the numbers did not look great this morning on TFD. It's pretty rough. It's pay to win, but it's not hard to get stuff. People pay to win. You get a lot of time to grind. Well, I think that's most of the gamers that have came from First Descendant, right? Like, most of us don't have a problem with grinding. Like, very few of us are actually like, nah, I don't really want a grindy game. Most of us are like, no, I'll take a grindy game. Like, I'll take a really grindy game. I don't really care about that. As long as I'm having fun, I don't mind the grind, right? I think that's the way a lot of First Descendant gamers are, so I'm going to assume that it'll be okay. Right? I'd assume that it'll be okay. Other than that, everybody having a good morning. I know it's super early. I'm hoping that these early morning starts are going to be fun and good. I'll have to wait and see how the early morning starts are, but we'll have to try it. I'm hoping that it's going to be a good time. I know it's going to be slow in the mornings. BL4 coming out. Yeah, did you notice that? Like, I checked the player now, the player counts. And they've definitely went down a little bit. I imagine they will continue to go down even a little bit more. So we'll give it some time to see, but I figured it would happen. Especially the longer Borderlands 4 is out, and the more stability it gets, and the more people are enjoying it, and they're talking to their friends about it. The people that were on the fence, or the people that maybe didn't have the money the very first week, but might have it on the second or third week, are going to start to pick the game up. So, all in all, I mean, I expect Borderlands to do pretty decent. And it was a really slow month for First Descendant, especially with it just being the cosmetics update, basically. We knew that was not going to go very well. There's a small segment of their player base that was going to care. But I think if anything, Borderlands 4 proved that decent gameplay, a grind, and fun things to loot and collect with build variety does well, right? And it's not only about what up, Grace? And it's not only about needing to goon, right? So I think if anything, First Descendant could definitely take a little bit away from that, right? There's definitely some room there for the First Descendant team to sort of look at what's going on with its competitor. What we got up here? The fact that they were buffing first and not nerfing, yeah, you guys know me. I'm, especially in the First Descendant, I'm still I still think Serena needs to be nerfed. But I think that Serena had been out for quite a while. There was like, because we knew how broken Serena was within the first couple days, I think that I was still a big fan of nerfing her even back then. But the reason I was such a big fan of nerfing her is because she had broke the game in ways that nobody else had, right? So it's not like all of the characters were breaking the game and they all needed a nerf. It was just this one character that was breaking the game. And the game's never recovered from it, right? Like, the First Descendant is still yet to recover from Serena 6 months later. And they're consistently trying to rebalance the entire game around Serena. And every enemy and everything that comes out is balanced around Serena. Well, there's like people bitching right now about the critical hit knife. But I think the critical hit knife is nowhere near the same as Serena. Because there are numerous things in Borderlands 4 that are crazy strong. There are tons of different builds and tons of different synergies, and the critical hit knife itself isn't the only problem. So because of that, I'm actually okay with them leaving the critical hit knife in for a while. I do think that it will need to be balanced at some point, but I don't think that it should have been the highest priority item for their team, and I was happy that their team didn't make it the highest priority item. I definitely think it'll need to be tweaked at some point, but I would much rather them continue to work on the stability of the game and work on improving underperforming items at this point in time, rather than them just go through and just blanket nerf 3 or 4 items, because the player base will find 10 new items to replace those 3 that get nerfed. And Freyna should have been nerfed first because she started the whole problem with pop 1 skill and run that direction. Yeah, I mean, there was a conversation about the level of power creep and the level of skill creep, and probably when it should have been addressed and at what time they should have started to address these things. And they should have balanced everything down. The game's had a year to try to get balance sorted out. And if anything, I think balance in this game's probably in the worst state it's been in. How about not the worst? I think the worst was right when Serena came out and they didn't have harder content. But I'd say it's in pretty close to the worst state that the balance has ever been in this game. And that's unfortunate for their team, especially after a year. After a year, you would hope that it would have gotten better, but it just hasn't. And that makes things really tough for the players who are trying to play the game, that are looking for like a balanced, fun experience. Because again, like, Borderlands 4 has got some really wonky balance things to it right now, but Borderlands 4 has been out for fucking less than 2 weeks, and they've already started. They're still trying to work on stability enhancements, which is huge. And then they've already stated they're gonna start their balancing. They didn't say they wouldn't nerf things, but they just said they were going to buff underperforming things first, which I think was, like we talked about earlier, was a good approach, but it leaves the door open for them to balance things down as well. They're just saying, hey, we're not going to balance down first. We will balance down, and your favorite shiny toy will be balanced. Some, but that we're not going to do that first. That's not our first priority. Yeah, they let the problems fester and linger too long. People got too emotionally invested in other stuff. So yeah, where we're at in First Descendant, yeah. I mean, and I think that, I mean, right now I still think First Descendant's got legs to go for a while. But seeing how bad not bad, but just seeing how volatile their numbers are right now, it can be a little tough. Because it just shows how susceptible they are to serious competition, and what will happen, in my view, if they just continue to prioritize a small segment of the community which only cares about cosmetics and doesn't care about anything else. And I think if they continue to do that, you'll just see the consolidations be worse. Because, again, one could argue and be like, well, people like Borderlands because everything's OP broken. And the First Descendant is OP broken. So they're the same. And it's like, no, I don't. There are definitely some OP broken things in Borderlands, but that's not really why. I don't log in for that crazy power fantasy, though I do enjoy it. I log in because there's shit to do and there's shit to collect, right? There's stuff that I want to get. And that is sort of what I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the chase. I'm enjoying the shiny weapon chase. I'm enjoying leveling my characters up. We need something to do in our cosmetics, though. What do you mean, Heartbreaker? Need something to do with them? Just buy them and collect them. Play Barbie dress up, right? But that's what they're prioritizing now, and it's doing very well for them. Doing very well for him so far. Yeah, but you know, when I get, like, right now I want to play Borderlands, and I want to play Borderlands because I want to start my AMON. I want to start grinding for him. I want to start putting some legendaries on him. I want to see how he plays. I want to try his skills out. And I have tons of stuff that I want to collect, and that to me is a lot of fun. So you like the RNG in Borderlands, but not in First Descendant? It's not. It has nothing to really. It has nothing to really do about the RNG being bad. It has less to do with the What up, PJ? It has less to do with the RNG being bad in First Descendant, and it has everything to do. Like, so if we're gonna discuss the RNG in both games, I don't mind things being random, and I don't mind grinding for things. Personally. But if I'm grinding for things, I want them to feel impactful to some degree. And there's got to be like a sense of like usefulness or want to it. So here's a prime example, right? Here's a prime example. Okay. This is going to be First Descendant. We'll do it in blue. Then we'll do Borderlands in red. For the First Descendant, right? If I want to get a weapon, right? If I want to get a weapon, say this is my weapon filament bar. Okay. If I want to get a weapon, I have to grind. Hold on, we can probably do a little bit larger. I have to grind 4 pieces for that weapon. Right? I have to grind 4 pieces for that weapon. And then I have to... Not only do I have to grind these, then I have to cook them. Right? So I have to grind each one of these 4 components, and I have to cook them. In order to get one full version of that weapon. And then after I do this... Right, then I have to actually I'm gonna need way less bars. I have to grind a version of the gun, and then I gotta grind the second piece, then I gotta grind the third piece, then I gotta grind the fourth piece, then I gotta cook the first piece, and then I gotta cook the second piece, then I gotta cook the third piece, then I gotta cook the fourth piece, and then I have to cook the combined weapon, right? And then I have to rinse and repeat this 4 times. What up, amateur? And then I have to rinse and repeat this 4 times. So let's just go like this, right? And then we'll take this little eraser. It's a little bigger. So this is sort of right. So this is one weapon, and then I have to do this. I have to do this, right? 5 times. Because I have to have 5 versions of the weapon. The base one plus the 4 versions do 5x. So, yeah, and then the cores and grind and all right. And then, yeah, and then on top of that, you have to do all of those different things. That is all to make the weapon even usable, right? So this is just to craft it. And then, yeah, you've got to go grind the cores. And then you've got to grind the cores. You've got to get 300 fire rate cores so you can get the fire rate on it you need and get everything else. This is all just to make the weapon even usable. So there's no dopamine hit of getting this weapon because it feels like a chore. It feels like if I want to use a weapon in First Descendant or a character. Oh, and this doesn't after doing this, you still have to catalyst it 10 times, which means you have to reset it 10 times. You need 10 catalysts. You have to cook all of those. You have to put them on, and then you have to re-level the weapon 10 times. Then you got to put the weapon cores on it. Blah, blah, blah. So by the time I actually get to use something, there's no excitement around it because we are well beyond the moment of me being excited to use the weapon because it has taken me hours, like, or not even hours. It's probably taken me days from the moment I tried to get the weapon to the moment that I got the weapon pieces and then I crafted it and then I used it and then I leveled it and then I upgraded it. And then finally I can use it on my character. Borderlands 4, I just run and it might take me 3 hours, might take me 4 hours, might take me a day. What up, Hangy, by the way? But once the weapon drops and you see it hit the ground, you walk up and you pick it up, it's yours. You get to use it, you get to enjoy it, you're excited for it, it's a fun moment, you get that dopamine hit, you get to play with it, and you get to enjoy it and use it. And that is where I think the RNG feels different. The dopamine hit that you get from something like Borderlands, where it's instant gratification the moment you get the thing, versus something like something like First Descendant, which is more akin to a gacha game, but with a ton more grinding. And that's if you have 10 catalysts saved up, exactly. So they shake the system up entirely. Maybe if they had translucent weapon, conversion material, something RNG based. I think that there are a lot of things that the Borderlands, First Descendant could learn from Borderlands. To me, I think probably the biggest thing, well, there's a lot of things, but the biggest things are even talking about this weapon like this. When this is all said and done, this weapon doesn't even feel impactful. Like, it doesn't feel build defining at the end of the day compared to something like Borderlands. And I think that is sort of the problem. I think that is like one of the issues, is that the loot grind in First Descendant doesn't feel rewarding. You're running for something to get, but it doesn't seem to like matter that much, right? So if I was to go into my into my inventory and go to where did they even move it to? Where did they even move it to? Where's the weapon? Well, didn't they used to have a weapon thing like right here? They moved it, right? Let's just go to M. If I was to look at all of these weapons, and don't get me wrong, there are tons of legendaries in Borderlands that are just completely worthless. But if I was to go through and look at these, Like, this gun could be removed. This gun could be removed. This gun could be removed. Realistically, you could remove this gun. You could probably leave one shotgun in. You could get rid of this. You can leave this gun in. Keep this gun. You get rid of Python. Keep Piercing Light. Get rid of Perforator. Keep Peacemaker. Realistically, I know people use Nezestra in certain builds. You could get rid of Nezestras. Get rid of Kingsguard Lance. Get rid of Hammer and Anvil. Get rid of Greg's Reverse Fate. Get rid of Frostwatcher. Get rid of Fallen Hope. Like, you could go through and just, like, nix all of these guns. Anything that's below gold can be completely demolished. A lot of the stuff just doesn't feel super impactful, and that's sort of the biggest issue I've had now. Now, give me some time. I'm sub 200 hours. How many hours do I have in Borderlands right now? We're at 124 hours, right? We're at 124 hours here versus First Descendant, where we're at 1600 hours. So, give it 1600 hours and we'll see if I still feel the same way, right? But there's definitely some room to improve. I think they're trying to shake up the system by getting rid of the Animorphs, but they're not making it any better by putting it in loot boxes. It's the same thing, except it automatically cracks. So it's an interesting situation. I don't know. I mean, like, why? What if weapon synergies and mutated cell trees created more of symbiosis value build? Would players hate that, do you think? I think there's going to be a level of trying to find players that enjoy playing the game and not playing Barbie dress up. And that's going to take a little bit of time. I think that creating better synergies, here's where the issue, here's another issue, right? Calculator, paint. I think that this right here, right? I think I've done this graph before, but I've done this graph before, but I'll do it again. I'll do it again just to do it. Okay. I think this should be the curve of your difficulty. Right? Wrong. I think this should be the curve of your difficulty. It should look something like this. Right? I think it should look something like this. And I think that you should have clear indicators of marks of challenge. So we'll say this is sort of the strength you need to beat the campaign, okay? And then this is the level of strength you need to start farming weapon cores. And this is the strength that you need to do like Sigma Sector or whatever. This isn't going to be exactly for these pieces of content, but just think about it this way. And this is the strength of the gear that you need to be able to complete like the Axiom Plains. And this is the strength of the gear that you need to be able to complete Endgame. And then anything above this part of the power curve, this is where your power creep, like this is where your power fantasy comes in, right? So this whole part up here is your power fantasy. So once you exceed the minimum level of power that you need to be able to do Endgame, then you start to feel super powerful, and then you continue to be like, so once you get to this level of power, all this content's easy. Once you get to this level of power content, this is easy. Once you get to the end game, this is where things get challenging, and then you could even add like a hyper hard mode end game, like challenge mode or something for this portion of your player base. You'd absolutely do this. Where I think the issue is right now is your curve doesn't look anything like this, right? Your curve essentially looks like this. That, you know, you've got this level of difficulty, and then you've got this level of difficulty. And then everything up here is just pure power that you're overpowered by this much for everything in the game. And it's because there's no end game in the game. So I think that I think that like making these combos matter, making a lot of the weapons and the synergies matter, is going to make more sense. And I would love to see them do it, but I don't want them to do it for this level of content, right? Like I don't want them to go, okay, well your brand new players are just now getting to the Axiom Plains. They need to have a fully built Descendant with 10 catalysts. They need to have perfect mutated cells. They need to have a maxed out arcade tree. They need to have trigger mods. They need to have fully kitted out guns, and that's to just be able to grind the Axiom Plains, because there's nothing on the Axiom Plains that matter, and the Axiom Plains are just another loot box system that already exists in the rest of the game. There's nothing there that I would consider to be like an in-game grind. So I think that I would love to see all those synergies and stuff matter and matter more, and these builds really matter, like at some degree, but I don't want you to gatekeep most of your players because of those things mattering. And I think that if you actually do that and you do it too early, you'll kill the rest of the game, because your hardcore players will get all those synergies, but they'll have no content to use it on, and your new players will not like it because they don't have all those synergies, and they'll quit. And that's sort of what's happening with the Plains right now. If I go to my YouTube comments, a lot of new and returning players are struggling out their ass to survive in the Axiom Plains. And the Axiom Plains aren't even that hard. But they're thrust into it because the game was just like, here's all your free shit. Now go play, have fun, kids. And then they run out there and they don't have any builds. They don't have any synergies. They don't have any of the basics. And they just go out there and get steamrolled. And I think that hurts. And I think that hurts players. And that's why you have to have a system that teaches your players, upskills your players, and gets them ready to do things, right? Borderlands doesn't even have an end game. But Borderlands is 2 weeks old. Borderlands isn't even 2 weeks old. Borderlands will be 2 weeks old tomorrow. And that's only for content creators that got to play it early, right? For everybody else, they didn't even get it till Friday. So there's like a whole level of Borderlands doesn't even have like a robust end game or even a slight end game right now. It's more of a single player experience than anything, right? And I think once they have it, it'll be better for them for sure. But we'll just have to wait and see. I could sit down and just talk to the devs on this game about numerous things that I think that they could do to try to make it a little better, but at the end of the day, it's going to depend on them and what they think and the current players that we have, because I do think there is a point in which you've sort of burnt goodwill with potential players in any game. Destiny is a prime example of this, where once you make so many decisions in a certain way, you will make people just not be interested in your game and not play it no matter what you change, right? There are tons of people that will never play Destiny 2, no matter how good Destiny 2 ever gets or how much they fix it, because they didn't like the sunsetting, or they didn't like some sort of system that they felt took advantage of them as a player and disrespected their time, and they're never going to come back. And I think that the First Descendant will run into that problem over time. The longer the game goes in one direction, the harder it is to bring people from a different direction. It's the lack of defense, not the lack of damage. I mean, you could say it's the lack of defense. You could say it's the lack of damage. There's a lot of different ways to look at what's causing... what's causing there to be... you know, difficulty in the game. But this is how Warframe works. The problem is both Warframe don't have an end game per se, because it's impossible in Warframe. No matter what they release, players are so power crap, but they still play even if there's no end games. Trying to bring this power fan, it's not working for them. There's not enough content to really feel that power. You know what, Shinmei, I think that I think there's a level of truth to that. because I think that one of the main reasons it does work for Warframe is just because there's seemingly an endless amount of medial tasks, right? You have 30 factions to grind, and you have like tons of different things that you're trying to do to collect, right? You have like almost 100 frames or whatever, like thousands of weapons, tons of MR, you've got mechs, you've got fucking whatever, the fucking wings, you've got an entire star chart, you've got and the star charts are made on tiles, not handmade sets, so they feel random each time you do it. You have 20 different game modes. So your power fantasy, Warframe has really leaned into the power fantasy, and the Warframe team will tell you that they are sort of handicapped, right? They can never make they can never sort of really do anything crazy, because like that's why they don't do raids and anything like that, right? Because it just doesn't work with their game. They've tried it, it doesn't do well. Their players like the power fantasy, they love the speed, they love the fast. What up, Diesel? I need way more weapons in First Descendant. We need way more impactful weapons that people use, right? Yeah, so I think like First Descendant and Warframe both, I'll agree, don't have an end game, but I think Warframe can get away with it just because of the amount of time that the game has been there, and it came at a time where it didn't have any direct competition, so it could take the time to learn how to walk. And the First Descendant is in a bad spot because they started a game and they need to learn how to run, right? From day one, they need to know how to sprint. So it put them on their back foot to begin with. And I think that just kind of hurts, right? Because there are definitely some players who just love the no-brain, mindless grind shit. But obviously not as many people as some gamers would like or hope, and you can see that by looking at the First Descendant's player numbers, right? You just can't argue with numbers right now. Less friction, leveling, and more emphasis on practical build diversity, more upfront reward, RNG based on grinding parts. Interesting. Combat makes players useful tools for like high-end content. Yeah, I think that like if you're trying to distill it down to like being more formulaic, yeah. I mean, I don't think that what you say is necessarily bad. I think that less friction. I don't mind like the sort of like medialness of leveling, and I think in First Descendant, because you have to level so many times, it needs to feel less friction, and there needs to be less suck to it, basically. Because in a game like we'll use Borderlands for example, just because I'm playing Borderlands right now. Borderlands, you get your character to level 50 one time, and then it's done. And then there's a whole nother level system that you can just level indefinitely to give yourselves like micro boosts to your stats that are permanent. You do it one time. If I, you know, they kind of got rid of the need to like level your character on First Descendant, because now it doesn't reset every time you catalyst your character, like your stats don't reset. But you still have to gain that XP if you want to catalyst your character. Right? It's not like I can sit down and be like, well, I have 10 catalysts, I'm just going to put them on here and do whatever I want. You're still going to have to go regrind and relevel your character, which prevents you from making those changes. But it's really weird, because if I was to just magically have a First Descendant dev in here and they heard me say that and they were like, well, based on what Judge is saying, we should just make it to where you can just put catalysts on your character as often as you want without any grind to it. Well, yeah, I am saying that, but you're gonna have to, you have to, if you remove friction, right? If this is your game, right? This is your game, and all of the friction in here is what keeps your player playing. If you remove this part of friction, right? This block of friction that keeps your gamers playing, and you need to add friction someplace else, right? You need to add back to this box. You can't just constantly take out of this box. But sometimes you have to remove bad friction. So like remove bad. Hello? Why is it not white lettering? I want the letters to be white. How do I do that? All right, so basically you have to remove bad friction. This is in a bad spot. I don't really care. But, so if you're going to do this, remove bad. If you're going to remove bad friction, you have to add good friction someplace else. Because you need something for your players to... Oh, it's got to be this one. You need... Anyway, you need... Damn it, Bobby. I hate paint because paint is just so not intuitive sometimes. Right? If you're going to remove bad friction, you have to add good friction someplace else. So, because you need to give your players something to do. So if bad friction is like needlessly grinding to level your character up 100 times, that is chores. You're not actively playing the game. You are actively leveling your character, which feels bad because now instead of doing what you want to do, you have to do something else to do what you want to do. And that something else is just re-leveling your character. And it's not bad the first time you do it or the second time you do it. But if you have 20 characters and you've leveled them all 10 times, that's 200 times that you have had to level and re-level characters just to be able to do something you want to do or test something or try something. That feels bad. Where you could replace that, and you, in order to replace that, you would have to replace and like refigure out the entire catalysting system, because effectively it would be nice to where you could go get, like, just in theory, I hate theory crafting all this because there's always so many ways that shit could go wrong, but it would be different if you say played the game, and in playing the game you were grinding the end game, you were grinding for weapons, you were grinding for whatever, and in doing it you got mats that let you permanently catalyst your character, like do catalysts, but you could move those slots around and do whatever you wanted, but you got them as a byproduct of doing something else. You didn't have to craft them and then wait to use them. And if you wanted to experiment or change something in your character, you could just do it on the fly. And then over time, you could get more and more of those things that you could just slap onto your character, basically catalysts. But you could just do it on the fly to make changes. But the goal here is not to have to spend an insane amount of time leveling your character and going to get the catalyst. Do you see what I mean? You're implementing so many levels of friction. And then I don't even think players really care about the friction. There's an RNG that goes into it. Because now, even say I want to catalyst my character, it's not like I can go grind cats and then put them on my character. I have to go grind Anamorphous for a chance to get a cat BP, so I can sit down and then I can craft it, but I can't craft it right away. I got to go run Void Vessels that I don't want to run, and the only thing I'm getting out of running a Void Vessel is fucking blue brains. So I'm gaining no enjoyment, I'm gaining no XP because my character's capped, I'm gaining no in-game XP, and I need none of the items that are in there. The only thing I need is blue brains. Right? So, like, I'm hoping that makes sense. But basically, your system, not your system, but the system in general, is just de-incentivized by a bunch of RNG and a bunch of time waste. It's just RNG and time waste. Your point of view is that all I'm doing doesn't feel rewarding. I level up weapons hundreds of times, but you get no reward for it. Yep. Facts. I love time waste. That's just, and that's what it feels like. Buy Gooner skins. Exactly. Def makes sense. I think that is chores upon chores. I think that is why something like Borderlands feels so much better, is because whatever I'm doing, I get, right? If I want to work on my specializations, which is like my in-game stats, I just go run stuff that's high XP. I go run bounties. Or whatever, right? Like, I just go run those things because it's going to give me what I want. But if I want to try a different build on my Serena, or say I want to try a different build on my Inez, if I don't have anything, right? Imagine I don't have anything. I have my Inez. I'm like, fuck, I want to try something. All right, well, I don't have a catalyst. All right, let's go run 400s so I can go get some cores. Well, do I get one right away? No. I have to run 10 400s to get 20 cores. Now I go crack those cores and I might have 3 blueprints. Well, now I have the blueprints, but I don't have any of the fucking polys. I don't have any of the blue brains. Now let's go run public events for polys. Let's go run and open fucking vaults to get stuff. Let's go run void vessel. Whatever we need to do. Now we've got everything to craft it. All right, well, I still cannot put this catalyst on my character. Now I have to run downstairs. Now I have to craft it. Now I have to wait 8 hours. And then when it's done, I can't even pull it out and put the second one in because now I'm asleep, right? And then I go get the second one because I have to work and everything. So now I'm doing this. So now it's 3 days to get all the fucking catalysts that I need. And then I go to put the catalyst on my Inez, and I'm like, okay, I put a catalyst on, and it's like, well, hold on, big dick. Go level her up to 40 so you can put your second catalyst on. Well, I don't want to. Well, too bad. Now go run her to level 40. Okay, you ran her level 40. Okay, go do it again so you can get your third catalyst on. And then by now you're like 5 days into trying to try this new build out if you're an average gamer. Well, you're 5 days in, man. Now think about what you can do in 5 days of playing Borderlands. And that's where the problem is. Common issue. We still have like issues with research times. Yeah, there's just like weird shit. But good morning, everybody. Good morning, Z. Morning, Alyssa. Morning, Lad. Morning, Hardscope. That's just where I think. So the First Descendant just has a. Right now, the First Descendant has an issue with dopamine. Hope you're doing well. You need your second coffee. I gotta go finish this one up. I think the problem, you couldn't resist. You're gonna love it, lad. They should reduce CAD times at least. They need to. They need to reduce CAD. They need to do something. What up, Ron? Leave a lurky. I appreciate you. The big one is the dopamine just takes days. The dopamine you get from Borderlands from getting something happens right there. In First Descendant, it's going to take you. First Descendant is going to take you days to get that same dopamine hit. What up, Ron? What up? What up, Ron and Big Ron? Research times wouldn't be an issue if caliber economy exists, but there's 0 point because everything's so easy to get. Why bother? Full stop. Yup. I'm doing good, Hardscope. Hopefully you guys enjoy what I'm talking about. I'm not like fucking shit talking the game, but we can talk about things that need to be addressed, right? 5 days, someone's already found a bug to break the records, and now you're super behind because the build changed, so you need 3 more days to cap, basically. Oh, you watched a YouTuber's fucking video the day it came out, and then you started working towards that build, and then all of a sudden somebody else found a different build, so you start working on the second build, and then within the first day you're on your working on your third build. You have no fucking mats, and you don't have the unlimited time, right? And the dopamine is not rewarding at all. No, and I agree, and I think that's sort of like another problem. You want things to feel super fun and super rewarding, and if it doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel rewarding, that's sort of the problem.
Just before the explosion happens, find the
Got to make sense of this. Yeah. Problem solve, 60 cat, everything right now, or you're fake. I'm a fake bitch. I'm a fake bitch. X circle triangle. X circle triangle. Oh, this one. Yep. Exactly. Nothing happened. We don't talk about shit. Nothing ever happens. Sentiment's out there. Get it off your mind. Exactly. And I think that people know that we're not trying to like be mean to the game, right? Lad's got 220 cats in your bag, 40 activators. Yeah, 60 cat doesn't even give rewards either, which is dumb. There's no reason to 60 cat. It's just for like some of you guys that are completionists, right? What up, Wood? Well, the worst part is why can't you just why can't you just put like fucking 10 or 20 cats on and just move them around where you want? Because I think you can move cats in what the fuck am I looking at? Sorry, dude. X circle square. Circle square triangle. This one. I think that like at least in Warframe you can move the slots around, right? Where's Dickface? Why is he here? Literally, once the update drops 1st of October, have enough cats for all 60, all 50. I already got the resource to make them all. It's just waiting game. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I moved Albion. Grinding games are the same. Time, Holy Land, and pain in the ass for completionists. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, gaming is wasting time, right? All gaming is wasting time. So it's just, does the time waste feel fun and rewarding? That is the ultimate question, right? Does it feel fun and rewarding? That is the only thing that matters. Yeah, I looked at this yesterday. So this right here was a punch in the dick as a content creator. I know you guys won't really care, but as a content creator, the First Descendant's numbers at its lowest last night, were 3,800, right? So that means there was like, we'll call it 4. There were sub 12,000 people globally playing last night. No, their numbers have been trending this way. They were at 41 the day before. They were at 37 the night before, the day after. Like their numbers are trending. Their numbers are trending down. I mean, you can clearly see it. Like this is not this is not good, right? Like this is not what you want to see as a gamer who enjoys this game. What up, Tony? Like this is after their last update. What up, Tora? Like I mean, these are just not this is just not what you want to see. Right? It just isn't. Borderlands 4 is doing okay, but you know, obviously nothing crazy. They're trending down. They're going to be 137,000, but then you triple it, that's still 300,000 people. So the number will fall down after the swords come out if they add bad. If the swords aren't good, you'll get a spike, but it'll drop fast again. It'll just be another one where it drops fast. This is what it is. Let me get some coffee, and then we're gonna knock out our Wally for the day. Into service. Oh yeah, they won't announce EOS. The game's too far off EOS, right? Like the game's still, yeah, I know it'd be funny, but it's not. I mean, their game's still got a while to go. They still make money off of some of their skins, so shows a lack of numbers in Albion. You play on console. How's it feeling on console for you guys? Let me go get some more coffee, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry about the mic. I'm not answering that, Diesel. I think that I think it's kind of like it's kind of a missed opportunity. This is going to be one of those times where people can disagree with me, and I'm 100% okay with it. But I think they've kind of missed an opportunity with having certain content creators, and certain content creators' communities that they could have been leveraging to get feedback and help with some of the direction of the game. And I'm not saying they should have let content creators decide the direction of the game. I think if you do that, it almost always works out bad. Because I think there are a lot of content creators, and this is no offense to content creators because I'm one. It is very easy to think your opinion is the right opinion and think that you have all the right answers. And to lose touch with just the average player base, because your community, like every content creator's community, is like the hardcore players and not normally like your average casual gamer. But even having said all of that, they could have, right? You could bring a bunch of us in and be like, hey, we've announced swords are going to happen, right? So we are working on swords, and we're going to have them ready for October. But we want to give some content creators and get your guys' opinion on these swords and how they work, right? So in August, we bring 10 of you in. Obviously, they're not going to fly us to fucking South Korea. They don't have the market for that, right? They're not Bungie. But they could have brought us in and been like, okay, guys, here are the swords. And we're like, all right, well, let's look at them. And they showcase them and they talk about the stats. And they're like, okay, so we don't actually have them in the game yet, but what do you guys think? And then we could just tell them. We could be like, hey, I don't think these are going to work. I think these are going to hit. I think these are going to be misses. Why I think they're going to be good. Why I think they're going to be bad. And give them an idea of what we see. That way they can get an outside perspective, right? Because if they make these swords and they show them off, and they're like, oh, you know, we imagine you like slashing around the battlefield and like killing and dispatching all these enemies. Alyssa's a dick. So Alyssa would be like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And they would be like, well, what do you mean? And Alyssa's going to be like, well, what happens when Freyna shows up and poisons the whole fucking room? And now you're standing there with your sword in one hand and your dick in the other. And you're going to have a better time of beating one than the other at this point because everything's dead. So why the fuck are you even making the swords like this? And the devs would go, huh. And then all the rest of us would be sitting around nodding our head going, yeah, Alyssa's a dick, but it's the truth. What the fuck are you ever going to do with this sword? And then they could be like, you know what? Maybe we should make some tweaks to this instead of just shipping it the way it is. Right? I don't think the problem is the beginner content. First, very delicate. It's meant to be yeah. Real and expect people to come. Those Leppies and Glaze melted the bosses that are meant to be hard. When they released Haley, approved changed the game. Yeah, well, I think that the game's direction, changed, and I think that's definitely one of the hardest parts. Is they've pivoted the direction of the game. Because I do think when the game first came out, it was more of a mix of Warframe and Destiny. And now it's more Warframe and Collector, right? And I just don't think that they really had an idea of what was going to happen. And the problem was they put out a game that a lot of people were excited for and people grinded the fuck out of, and then they just didn't know how to deal with it, right? Think about Borderlands. Borderlands put out a game, people are grinding the fuck out of it, and they're still sticking to direction. Make the swords they're not worth it straight up. Yeah, it just depends on what they're doing with them, right? Is there a reason to choose a sword over a stat stick? If the stat stick's more practical for the setup? Exactly. Well, that's the thing is like, what are these swords going to do? Are they going to be good? Are they going to be bad? Are they going to be for AoE mobbing? Do they have some sort of cool skills with them? If they don't, are they basically a stat stick? If they're a stat stick and they don't push you to sprint speed caps, then why do you have them? If they're single target bossing, like who do they synergize with? Can you use them with anything? Is it worth putting it on somebody? Right? Is it worth putting that stat stick on over a different stat stick? There's a lot of things that go into it.
Listen.
And I think that's where the challenge is going to be. But I believe the kind of thing is not what Magnum Studio wanted. Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I think Shin. I think that they are between a rock and a hard place because they have to try to push certain types of content to make money, and it's a free-to-play game. And I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'm going to do a video on Borderlands. Like, I'm going to do a dedicated video on Borderlands. But I think that there are a lot of reasons that, in my view, Borderlands is succeeding right now. And I think some of it has to do with the fact that it's not a free-to-play model. Truly. I think free-to-play models are toxic and cancerous to gaming and gamers. And I understand that some gamers can't afford new games. I get that. But at the end of the day, I think that free-to-play games really hurt gaming overall. Why you up so early? Danny, I'm going to try to start being on early all the time. There should be some sort of like challenge DPS dependent content in this game. Using special weapons on enemies and actually hurt maxed out players. Exactly, Purple. I think there needs to be a true endgame at some point. We need something. If melee isn't good, I'm afraid that if melee isn't good, they're gonna have a bad season. This is to be expected. The game is 2 years old. It's gonna make changes to find the groove. Even Warframe had to make some big changes. Like the changes to their like movement engine. No, I get that, War Boss. But I think that let me fight this boss. Let me fight this boss, because if we're gonna talk about Warframe, then I'm just gonna make my point on Warframe and move on. Because what is happening now, and it's not you, War Boss, but what's happening now is for the whole first year of First Descendant, people have said, well, the game's not even a year old. The game's not even a year old. You cannot have a criticism of the game. The game's not even a year old. Just calm down. Let them have their first year. You can't talk bad about the game. You can't criticize it. You can't say anything like it needs time to grow. It needs time to cook. Okay, fine. And now it's, well, the game's not even 2 years old. It's like, okay, at some point, we gotta pop the fucking tit out of this baby's mouth, right? Like, at some fucking point, we gotta stop going, well, the game's not even 5 years old, right? Like, they need time. Like, at some point, not at all. Any criticisms, absolutely. What I'm saying is change is natural. Oh, for sure. But I think that, and I think that games do change over time. But I think that, I think that there is... Let me finish this boss. I think that the First Descendant has made a change. It kind of goes back to what I was saying, and you might not have been here the whole time. But you can only burn so many bridges before people refuse to walk on it, or you can only like serve so many shit sandwiches before people stop coming to your restaurant. And I'm not saying that the First Descendant is a shit sandwich, but what I'm saying is if every sandwich that the First Descendant was previously was a shit sandwich, and now you stop giving shit sandwiches, there are a lot of people that'll just never come back to your restaurant. And we've seen that with Destiny, we've seen it with Warframe, we've seen it with a lot of games. If you burn through potential gamers and potential players early on, it's very hard to get those potential players back. There are some use cases where it has happened, but it hasn't happened. The chances of that happening are 1 in a million that you can shit down people's throats and then eventually get them to like you. Right? So like that's number one. Number two, Warframe. The only thing you can compare Warframe and First Descendant in are systems that they have in common. But you cannot compare Warframe and the First Descendant on any type of metrics. Like player numbers, statistics, even growth curves. It's basically impossible. And the reason is Warframe came out 12 years ago with no competition in the space and with nobody doing anything similar to them. It was Borderlands making single player looter shooters and Warframe making multiplayer looter shooter grinders. That was it. There was nobody else competing in the space. So when you're the only one, or when you're one of two, it is very easy to make missteps and still recover, because you don't have anybody there capitalizing on your missteps in the market. If nobody's there to capitalize on you fucking up, and you are realistically the only choice, then people will deal with your bullshit. Just in general. Look at AAA games that shit on gamers, and a lot less people are trusting AAA games. And that's like one of the biggest... So, to that point, and then I'm going to go back to the Warframe thing. To that point, Voiceless, if you were to look at Borderland 3's sales numbers and Borderland 4's sales numbers, okay, Borderland 4 is doing less good than Borderlands 3, even though Borderlands 3 was a way worse game. You know why that happens? It's because Borderlands 3 came off of the success of Borderlands 2. So because everybody really enjoyed Borderlands 2 and it was such a good game, all the hype and shit built, and so many people bought into Borderlands 3 and they were all disappointed. Now, Borderlands